Does it? Wait. Oh, huh. I never got a chance to test out like how the slideshow thing, the demo thing works back here.
No one told me this was the Rolling Bow Squidness show.
Yeah,
it's the Cosmos show, not my. Well, okay, fine. John, you know what? Here, you be first.
Hey, number one.
Here, you be number one. There. How does it now? Now, how do you feel, Tom?
I have my own row. I am clearly the star. I am centered. I am by myself. Like, this is fine.
Well, and for those wonderful people tuning in again, hello, welcome back to the show. You may notice there's someone different here. So
hello there.
We have our first guest, as a surprise to many of us.
Well, he said he was coming.
Yeah, but it was like that ominous, like, oh Lord, he coming, you know, like we didn't know it. But it's good because as you obviously see, David's, Aaron, Marthias aren't able to make it today, so nobody wants to hear Chad and I talk about the same things we've talked about 100 other times. So we're happy to have you, Tom. Welcome.
Thank you.
In case there's one single person in this corner of the internet that doesn't know you, introduce yourself.
Tom Hutchison. I'm the writer, publisher, art director, all things over at Big Dog Inc. We are celebrating 15 years of making the best comics you have never heard of this year.
It's true. Penny for Your Soul is pretty cool.
Yes, you are. So. Well, we're happy to have you. I know that you're familiar with this style, but we have some structure to the show, but it's really just shooting.
Structure.
That's why we invited you.
Yeah, unfortunately, when it comes to our structure. So we have did you get the PowerPoint that I sent you, Tom?
Probably, maybe, but I've been on the road for the last week, so I've not been in my email. So
okay,
if it's there, maybe, but let's just go with no.
Okay, John, did you get the PowerPoint I sent you guys?
Yeah, I sent you back the edits. Like,
oh, okay, yeah. So all it is just live action Smurfs. Is there a reason for that, John?
I mean, that's the only answer that we could come to, right? 27 slides of twerking Smurf.
The Smurfs, the Snorks. So yes, the Snork. Ugh.
Anything that's like a weird word.
I never really liked the Snorks, nor did I really like the Smurfs, because I never really knew who the Smurfs were for. Like,
well, the Smurfs were for German children. They're German creations that were imported over here because America saw an ability to, sell little blue monster figures to children, basically. That's it. I mean, the Smurfs are not for us, Chad. They're for the German children.
Oh, at first I thought you were gonna say no. We needed them to remind us about World War II, and so we brought the Smurfs over.
I'm sure that there are messages in the Smurf episodes, but I haven't seen a Smurf episode since I was probably 9. So it's been a minute. I haven't seen any of the movies or any of that kind of stuff. So the Smurfs are very, very minimal in my memory of like value for storytelling.
You do. Jerk.
Nice.
He abandoned us. Anyway, but yeah. No, and I've only seen, I don't think I've ever, now that we're talking about it, I don't think I've actually seen a full Smurfs episode. I saw the first movie that came out.
Really? You're too young to have seen an episode. This is the problem.
I'm surprised you even know what the Smurfs are.
That's even, truly. The Smurfs, I mean, it was, I want to say it was a Saturday morning thing. A lot of people say, oh, Saturday morning cartoon. I'm like, no, that was a Monday through Friday show. But there were ones that were legitimately like Saturday morning cartoons. I think the Smurfs was one of them. And we watched it. I remember watching it, but I have zero memory of like that episode was so good, because they're all just sort of like it's the same as a lot of stuff from the 80s, because it was all made to some capacity really as a commercial for toys, more so than like telling stories. So when you watch things like Voltron, right, it's all pretty much the same every episode. It's just a different row beast that they have to kill. It's, oh, we and the mice are in the castle and we're having a problem with something, and then the bad guys are, oh, we have to beat the good guys and send a monster, and they send a monster, and we have to get in our lions, and then they get in the lions, and then it's Peter with the lions. We have to form Voltron to beat the monster, and they form Voltron and cut it in half. Like, that's every episode. I just described every episode. So
you could have just taken that and
when you go deeper into like the continuity and whatever sort of message storytelling, sort of like He-Man used to do, like message storytelling, there's probably a little bit of that throughout the series. But really, I would challenge people to really tell me, Voltron season 2 episode 9 was really where we found the gold of Voltron. You know what I mean? So unfortunately there's a lot of shows like that have really great flashy appearances, but there's not necessarily a lot of depth to them in the 80s mold.
And I think we all remember things, under the veil of nostalgia.
Of course.
Yes, absolutely.
Because Transformers, all those shows, Care Bears, they look like they were written in about 8 minutes. Like you said, we got to get here, we got to get there, we got to get there.
Oh, they were. They were all on cocaine and drugs, and they had to do it in like 8 minutes.
Yeah, but I do have to correct you. It wouldn't be continuity in Smurfs; it'd be Smurfannuity. So,
yeah,
I'm sure someone out there knows the Smurfannuity.
A lot of the shows like G.I. Joe and Transformers, their mandate was, okay, look, we have to introduce a new toy. Yeah, this is look, we have to introduce Superion, make a Superion episode. We have to introduce this guy, make it that guy. And the comic books were like that too. The comic books are even worse, really, than the TV shows. The comics are god awful within the Transformers realm, at least. But yeah, I mean, when you're trying to use these things to sell toys, the storytelling will oftentimes fall aside, at least after you kind of, the early stuff. There's a lot of early stuff for like G.I. Joe and Transformers that's pretty good for what it is. But then once you start kind of having to, again, have that dictate, now it's time for this, now it's time for this, and they're forced to tell a story, then you start to see the cracks.
Man, it reminds me of Detective Conan, which is an anime manga. Well, and it has like over 1,000 episodes.
Okay.
But it hasn't actually pushed its story along for the past like 8 years. So it's just detective stuff. And I'm pretty sure the creator forgot what the story was. Or he just doesn't care because it makes money. So it's terrible now, and it falls in that category of 80s cartoon of the same thing every episode. Somebody gets murdered, Detective Conan needs to solve it with whatever the guy's name is, and so it's like Scooby-Doo.
Columbo.
But they were all entertainment. Like, that's just all it really was.
Of course.
At the end of the day. But at the same time, though, it was to sell toys. So we all know that. Nowadays, you look at the Transformers and the Ninja Turtles and all those, and it's, well, Shredder killed Megatron, and really, he's also my mother. Like, there's just, like, deep storytelling, or, like, just really... They try to build the story.
Yeah, we've reached the level of like storytelling necessity, but then everything's just like a reboot. It's like, well, we told this story in this movie or this TV show, and then like, well, let's just change everything. Let's change the designs and tell it differently, and then like do it again, tell it differently, and that's you're going back to the core, which is sell some toys, and you sell toys by redesigning everything.
Yep. And then you got a new set of toys. Yeah. How many times have we seen Turtles already in the last 10 years?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, the new He-Man toy line. Although the new He-Man toy line, I gotta say, is pretty cool looking.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was very sad that I regret not picking up Skunktor when I found him at the store. Because and I know Tom and I,
isn't that Stinkor?
Is it Stinkor? It is Stinkor. Yeah, it is Stinkor.
Come on, man.
I know. Sorry, my
Skunkor? That's really low level.
Look, I get all
11
mixed
years
up
old,
with my. Listen, there's so many creative names with the He-Man's villains: Beastman, Merman,
Man,
Sandman.
Okay.
Just, fuck you, man. You know, just there's all that. Anyway, guys. So what we're talking about?
No. Who you're thinking about there is his name. He's a good guy. His name is Fisto. That's
yeah, I mean,
right there.
The best guy.
The best guy, Fisto. There's also Ram Man.
There is Ram Man.
So I mean, man, now that I think about it, that show was gay.
What the hell?
Yeah. No,
all right.
What?
I'm gonna break from history here with the show since we've got a guest. And
All
just
right.
thank everybody for helping us get over the line. We have an hour left for Final Heist. It was a sweaty
Cancel
one,
your
but please don't cancel your pledge. Somebody already did that. I was waiting. You know how it goes. I waited to not announce because I knew that shit was going to happen, and it did. But we got a couple minutes left here. There will be late pledges tonight, so if you're watching this in the replay afterwards, check it out. But thanks to everybody who really, really helped at the end here. It's always very humbling to be part of the community and see everybody rally and cheer you on, and to see it get over the line was awesome. Thank you all so much, including my co-host, Mr. Perkins. I have to reveal that he is not a nefarious villain. He did, in fact, help us out here at the end. Thank you, Chad.
Yeah, no, Christ. It is the standard reason that I usually back John's stuff. So, as much as we are complete we are enemies, we do that. Anyway, so our topic is also congratulations. It was an incredible sweat fest for you guys. For Final Heist, but we are talking about obviously our comments about cartoons as irrelevance. We are talking about what cartoons should get a live adaptation. And Tom, you actually said there are legitimate answers, which I'm very surprised because I was expecting you to come on and be like, "There's no answer. It's all stupid. Never do that." Da 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 da. And I was like, okay. And then John would do the same thing, and I'm like, okay, guys. Well,
the problem is that even though there are legitimate answers, that doesn't mean they would be done legitimately well. I mean, we've already seen the attempts at like G.I. Joe and things like that, which they did it completely. I'm going to start with G.I. Joe. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. G.I. Joe needs to be a real live action show.
Yes.
But it has to be put in the 80s. You have to put G.I. Joe in the 80s. You have to use F-14 Sky Strikers. You have to use Warthogs. You have to use the things that make G.I. Joe what it is. Because it's not just simply the characters running around in pseudo fatigues that makes G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe was the planes, the gun. They all had different uniforms, like, you know, in
Snow Patrol.
Scarlet's running around in a leotard, and you know, Sailor Guy's literally in a sailor thing with a
right.
Like the fun of G.I. Joe was the wild characters that were military trained, right? It was insane. Right. You have a ninja, and you have like an
Eskimo.
Yeah, you have an Eskimo. You have an American Indian. Like, it was one of the most diverse shows you could imagine.
Yeah.
And all these characters kind of went in and out of all these different episodes, but it failed because they tried to make G.I. Joe now. They tried to make it a modern G.I. Joe, modern technology.
Maybe not even now, just like they always want to make everything that, like, it happens with comic movies, right? They try to make it realistic. Why? It's right. Over the top.
There's nothing that needs to be realistic about this. You need Cobra Commander with a hood over his face. Like, just do it right.
Well, go on.
Just think like, let's take Top Gun, okay? And Maverick is Duke.
Yeah.
You just made G.I. Joe. Like, go. You know what I mean? That's your starting point. And if you can do that, then you can still have all your weird fantasy shit, because Cobra makes weird fantasy shit. You can have your crazy hiss tanks. You can have your crazy Cobra robots and stuff. So it would be kind of sci-fi high tech versus 80s tech that we understand.
And to your point, though, because I'm going to also bring up Craven for a second too. That's one of those movies they should have went all out with the ridiculousness because of his costume. But
Sure.
G.I. Joe has a Hitler Genghis Khan clone. Like, it's a fusion of like every single dictator and evil personality ever.
Yep.
And you're telling me you couldn't make a movie or like a TV show out of that?
Yeah, you
Come
got a
on.
Frankenstein bad guy,
Right.
you know, that's been cloned from the worst, you know, villains in history. You know, that itself is the movie, you know.
Right. Absolutely.
Getting just run that story where they're going and getting DNA from all these places, and you know, the rise of Serpentor and all that. Like, oh my God, it's so easy. This is the problem that I think in some of these cases is it's so easy, but these guys in Hollywood always are overthinking it. It's like we can't make it quote unquote dumb, right? We have to make it highbrow, and it's like, no, it's a dumb thing. Yeah, it's a dumb thing. Lean into the dumb. Paint G.I. Joe on the side of a real F-14 and just go.
Right.
And again, we live in this diversity time, right? You've got all the diversity you want in the G.I. Joe world. You've got girls, you've got black guys, you've got Asian guys, you've got everything you want. So you can check off any box you want, create the teams, and it's all source material. So it's not like you're just making stuff up out of your ass. So the fans will be like, yo, there's Jinx, yo, there's, you know, whatever. And they'll be happy, they'll be excited. It's all there. All the pieces are there for G.I. Joe if they understand, use the nostalgia.
See, but I think, and not to play devil's advocate for Hollywood or anything, but it wasn't a cartoon, but that was why I was disappointed that the D&D movie didn't do better, because that did stick to that formula, right? They really did do the over the top, the silly, and they didn't make a lot of money. So I think that's part of the reason why too. Like, we know we would go see something like that, but would it make 500 million like they want it to? You know, that's what they want.
I think Dungeons and Dragons is too niche, though. Dungeons and Dragons, because Dungeons and Dragons is a brand that people understand. But there's not characters really that people understand.
That is
true, or at least there's ones that people don't know of because they're not like Dritz. Like,
no one knows what that is unless you play D&D, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's a very niche thing. People understand what it is. They understand dungeons. They understand dragons. They understand, you know, Lord of the Rings, swords. Like, they understand that concept. But I think if Dungeons and Dragons had just been actual Dungeons and Dragons with the kids and Dungeon Master and the unicorn, again, this is easy stuff. People, the nostalgia would hit. The kids that don't know what that is would still get a cool movie. Like, fuck you, Hollywood. This is easy, and you're blowing it.
Yeah, no, you could have. So, and actually, I liked the Chris Pine Dungeons and Dragons movie. When I saw it on Netflix,
I was surprisingly impressed.
I was too, and I was like, man, I should have saw this in theaters, but you know, I just didn't. And when I saw it on Netflix, I was like, oh, damn, this is actually really good. But you have, to Tom's point, you have an opportunity to have all of these kids, and you could do like the Jumanji thing where they all play these different big name actors. Like, you take the kids from Stranger Things or those actors, and you have them play like The Rock, you know, Michael B. Jordan. Like, you have them be Goof or Miss Piggy for one, you know, for whatever reason. You know, you have this opportunity to be stupid with it, and I feel like it's an insult. That's why I feel, well, I mean, I was going to say Avatar: The Last Airbender. You also have an opportunity with that, though, to make it stupid and schlocky, because it is stupid and schlocky at times. So, but I also love Avatar: The Last Airbender, so I'm always going to.
I mean, just look at. I mean, it's not really a one-to-one comparison, but look at like the horror movie genre, right? Like, these guys will come out and be like, "Look, here's $10 million. Go make us a piece of shit," and then that piece of shit will make $40 or $50 million, and the producers are like, "Woohoo, success! Go make 10 more of those," and just like turn it. So the audience understands sometimes that kind of campy, schlocky is the point of these things. And if you were to come in with some of this stuff and use the nostalgia and lean into it all and just say, look, we're back in 1986, guys. Maverick is Duke. Like, let's go. We're fine. If you lean into Dungeons and Dragons and you say, "Hey, remember the guy with his energy bow? We're gonna give it to you." People will respond. But we're I'm only an audience member that is a paying person who goes to the theater telling Hollywood this is what I want to see. Like, who cares what that guy wants?
Yeah, who cares what our audience?
I'm a paying customer.
It took so long to get a Super Mario movie, that made sense because, again, that's an easy sell, but they just stuck to very basic things from the game, and everybody loved it.
And it worked. And it worked. Even me, as a non-video game guy, I was like, "This is all right. I can watch this."
That's how I felt about the Minecraft movie. I was like, "It's all right. It works." I mean, but then again, I've also when I was talking with Tom about it at Motor City Comic Con, I was like, I've never played Minecraft. So my entire idea of it was fine. Or the Sonic movies. I actually think all three of those are shockingly good. To David's point, and I actually wanted to bring this up, was yes, the Blue Falcon, absolutely, from Dexter's Lab. I think it is about time we get was the Blue Falcon
That's
from
not
the
Dexter's Lab. Blue Falcon is Blue Falcon and Dynamite. That's from the 70s.
Well, he's in Dexter's Lab though.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, is he from so he's older than that.
Yeah, he's Hanna-Barbera from the 70s. Him and Dynamite's like a robot dog. He is
Hanna-Barbera.
He predated Inspector Gadget. Dynamite was Inspector Gadget. He would have stuff pop out of his body. He was R2-D2 as a dog.
Blue Falcon was the best part of the newer Scooby-Doo movie. He was voiced by what's his name, Mark Wahlberg.
Oh yeah, they were they were for whatever reason in it. My point is what I was saying is, do you guys remember from Dexter's Lab the Justice Friends?
No.
So they're a parody off of the Justice League, and also the Avengers. But they have Valhalla, which is a Viking rock god. They have the
I remember.
The Infraggable Hulk. Yeah, which is a purple Hulk, and then Major Glory, which is your Captain America Superman. Right, and they're just what?
Now it's coming back. Okay. That was I was a little older, so starting to move on to live action. Cartoons are dumb.
Well, that's what we're talking about. But they were just a bunch of parodies of DC and Marvel heroes. You had Monkey, who was just your. Now that I think about it, I don't really know. I guess Quasar,
Beast
or maybe
Boy?
No, because he couldn't transform. He was just more like Nova than anything else. But he lived in Dexter's lab. In fact, now that I think about it, Dexter's Lab should probably also get a live action. I feel like that's also pretty easy. It's just about a boy genius who builds a lab or has a lab in his basement.
Is that your first pick? Because we've been talking for 20 minutes and you haven't mentioned one. Is that the one you want to?
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah. I actually hadn't thought about that. And honestly, I did kind of have the attitude, like you were saying, that cartoons are cartoons. I like cartoons. They don't need to be live action. So I came prepared to say things like The Simpsons and Futurama, just, the most.
I agree with that sentiment, actually. like just because it can exist in live action doesn't mean that it should. But I think so. For me, I think I'm coming at this from. I think there's a few that can legitimately be good if they were, handled properly. Yeah, if they were handled properly.
Throw one out there.
Yeah. So GI Joe is one. Now the one that is happening that I'm really curious about is Voltron. They have finished filming. Henry Cavill is in this thing. I mean, if ever there's a live theater experience, it's giant fucking robot lions. Give me giant robot lions.
That's why it's with the Power Rangers too. That's why I hate the fact that movie was terrible.
Yeah, but that movie was terrible because, again, they didn't give you the Power Rangers. That was the Breakfast Club Rangers. Again, they're overthinking it. It's let's focus on them at school and no, mother, just go get the amulets, get the keys, get the robots, and give me stuff. It's sort of music. Here's the thing, right? I'm a big Godzilla fan, right? And there's always sort of this concept of the balance between how much human and how much monster stuff, right? To get a movie. And oftentimes, especially in the old days, you would get a lot of human stuff, mixed with a little bit of monsters, and then a big monster finale, right? So when they did King Kong versus Godzilla, or Godzilla versus Kong, I should say, the one a few years ago, those guys, Adam Wingard decided we are going all in on the monsters. I mean, there was so much monster stuff and so little story and so little character development, but it was a successful movie. People liked it. And then that turned into GX Kong, which was just a mountain of monster crap with almost no human stuff. So I think in that context, and it was the best movie, not the best movie, but the best box office of all of those Godzilla movies was that last one.
So you think they should do that with Voltron?
Well, I think that if you are doing something like that, you have to understand what the audience wants to see. And we want to see giant robot lions, and then we want to see giant robot lions coming together and beating the crap out of another giant robot. Like, make it as cool as you possibly can at all times. Yes, we want to know how they get to planet Eris. Yes, we want to know how they find the lions. That's sort of, give us that Indiana Jones.
But you can speed that up.
Find the key. Yeah, you can speed it up. This is correct. We got to find the keys. We got to get into the lava. We got, but you don't have to like take half the movie to get us to the lions,
Right.
And then at the same time, once you get to the lions, you don't have to give us like an extended, I don't know how to drive my lion. Like, we don't want that. We don't want that.
We don't want the concert confidence booster scene.
That's right.
Like,
correct.
You can do it.
Yes. Jump in, push some buttons, roar. Like, let's go. It has to be a just go movie. And who knows what we're going to get, but I'm at least semi excited because I think visually this is going to look hopefully amazing based on visuals for like Godzilla versus Kong and stuff. If that translates at all to what they do with Voltron, it will look badass. It's just a matter of, again, can they tell a story?
Can you do it
and not slow us down and drag us through the mud on the way to the
not miss where Pacific Rim missed? Like Pacific Rim was okay, but
I liked Pacific. I liked it, but
I do too. But there's something
but you could do more. Like you could do more with that in movie. But I love the fact that it was just, hey guys, there's a giant monster coming out of the water. Oh, who is it this time? Well, it's this one. All right, fire up that. Like, that was like, it was just playing roulette of which one would pop up and which robot would go out. And I liked that idea. Different robots for different monsters. John, what's your pick?
Well, and Tom is much more experienced and educated in the Godzilla lore. I'm a late adopter, as actually my son who got me into Godzilla. And I feel like he's a bad example because he can be anything. Godzilla can be the worst movie and it's great. He can be the best movie with human character. He can be just punching a monkey for an hour. So Godzilla, he encompasses all things. It's very hard to make a bad Godzilla movie.
Yeah, you got to work hard to make a piece of crap Godzilla movie.
Because like -1 is all human, and it was such a good movie.
Yeah.
It's like,
look at Matthew Broderick's.
They worked hard. They worked hard to make that bad movie.
Yeah,
they really worked hard.
Hank Azaria even said he's glad to be in one of the biggest flops. But mine was going to be like The Simpsons. Just make the most grotesque, obnoxious, ugly looking thing to end the series. Like, make that be the last end of the series. But
they have to be super aware.
Yeah. Which the show is really, and they could just be very aware that they're not realistic and they look grotesque and horrifying like those horrible AI ones that people do all the time. Just give me something like that, and then finally stick a fork in that show, so it can be done.
I agree. Actually, that would be awesome if like the last season of The Simpsons, which was all done in live action, but it was super like. I'm trying to debate. I'm debating over if it's like cell shaded or not, like rotoscoped over, or if it's just like actual like people wearing. The makeup with like
rubber masks, like bad Ninja Turtle movies, like they look horrible.
I would absolutely watch that. Like, I'd be like, guys, we're watching The Simpsons. Turn on this grotesque monster. No, that'd be great. I was, and actually, my other one was going to be King of the Hill, but I also feel like that's like any sitcom,
right?
Like, but at the same time, though, I think they could, and to Tom's point as well. They would probably not go as hard as King of the Hill does animated, Like, they'd make all these stupid, goofy racial comments. They make this obsessive, just very bizarre world where no regular human being would want to be in, and they'd probably make it like realistic, like to the point of just like not a soap opera, but like a sitcom. So what you really should do is you should just make it like Twin Peaks, and then it would be.
I was going to say, wouldn't it be like Breaking Bad or something? Like that?
Yeah, like, make it like Breaking Bad or Twin Peaks or anything, and just like make it super, super like.
Just start off with like Hank Hill bashing someone's head in with a propane tank or something. You know?
I would totally watch that. That's what the reboot really is. But my point is I was getting Dexter's Lab was was actually my pick to go back to that a little bit, because I really do want to see Dexter have his giant laboratory hidden underground, and it's him trying to hide it from his parents and just doing things with his sister. I think that would be a really good episode, similar to like. Did you ever watch? Okay, you probably haven't. You watched like Ben 10. Where it's just him going on different adventures. Okay,
I know what it is, but I didn't watch it. Yeah.
I love Ben 10, except the new stuff. But anything after Alien Force is terrible.
It was a popular show. Yeah,
it was. It was good. I really enjoyed it. It actually was an interesting thing. Alien Force is what got me into realizing that I can enjoy cartoons as an adult. Because I was like, I can watch this stuff and not feel weird. But I think that Dexter's Lab, it's time to have it as a TV series or even a movie. Just have it a one-off, like each episode is a different situation, or you have this big apocalyptic villain invading Earth and Dexter has to go and fight it. There's a lot of content there. Like there's the Voltron style episode where his family teams up and forms a giant robot to fight a giant monster that's invading the city. So you have a lot of options. I would say like, Powerpuff Girls, but
it's gonna, it's gonna be hard. If Dexter, a big part of him is his accent. Okay, so you got to find a kid who can do the accent.
You really do, yeah, you do, and you also have to make him short, like uncomfortably short, like Willow short. Like, yeah, because that was his whole point of his character. Like he was a small guy who, he could live up to his shortness. You know what I'm trying to say? He was short, but he was powerful, is what I'm saying. He's kind of like Puck from the X-Men, you throw, or Alpha Flight, where you can throw him and he's powerful but short. Anyway.
I feel like that's a dark horse pick, but I like it. I could work. That could definitely work as a live action. The other one I was going to say, the Venture Brothers, but that's kind of...
Well, that's good
just Scooby-Doo. So it doesn't really need to...
That's just Scooby-Doo and Johnny Quest, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Granted, though, I will say, if they did Johnny Quest... is also about due for a live adaptation, and I think if you made it rated R, it would just be Venture Brothers at that point.
Yeah, then it's just
so I mean, Johnny has appeared, Johnny and Race and all them have appeared in Venture Brothers, so I mean, it would make sense. I would have also said Dora, but for that already got a live action, and shockingly, it's not terrible.
Soon, everything that's animated will be live actions. That's for sure.
Well, that's why we're talking about now. Street Sharks, I think, is about damn time. Like, I just saw that they're getting IDW, I think, is like releasing a comic book now.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, or Dynamite, or whoever has it now. And then they just started with Funko Pops. I'm like, is it time? Are we finally getting another Street Sharks?
Street Sharks coming back.
I hope so. I love Street Sharks.
The real question is since we've had the Lego movie, when do we get the Funko Pop movie?
Oh, soon.
How bizarre would that look?
We had the Emoji movie. We had the Lego movie.
No, don't.
It should be that one should be real dark too, like somebody buried under all the unbought Funko Pops and Avalanche or something.
Oh, and then they like fuse and become like the ultimate Funko Pop, and that makes Freddy Funko. You can make it a horror movie. We got it right there.
Oh man.
And he goes around killing people because they threw away their Funko Pops.
like the ET game buried in the desert or something.
Yeah. See, and we say there's no creativity. Like we came up with an idea.
Right away.
See, I hated the fact that the first Lego movie was good.
I know.
Like
it was much better. The Batman one, much better than it ever needed to be.
I hated it.
the Batman one.
I hated the first Lego movie. Like,
Oh, really?
And I was married at the time, and we were watching it, and we were about halfway through, and it was really funny because we both, like, at the same time, just looked at each other.
What are we doing?
Like, what the fuck is this?
I realized I'm
like at the same time, it was just like this bizarre cosmic moment, and we were like, yeah, let's push.
You were not the target audience.
No.
Yeah.
Clearly, I was the target audience.
We didn't finish it.
The Lego Star Wars stuff, it's all funny.
Oh, absolutely! I love the Lego Star Wars stuff. That stuff's hilarious.
I can't do it. I can't
really?
I can't do it. I haven't tried it, but I'm pretty sure I can't do it.
If you can't do any of the other Star Wars like live action stuff, like the stuff that Disney Plus does, I wouldn't be surprised if you can't.
I struggle with all of Disney's Star Wars stuff. I really struggle with it. Yeah,
that's fair.
But I mean, I would think that that Lego Star Wars, I would assume, is sort of pseudo parody.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So there's that element to it that I might kind of jive on, but yeah.
Speaking of which, the Lego should get live action. Then you just have Fall Guy, and it's just the same fucking movie. Lego, yeah, no, that doesn't need to be one. Hey Arnold, I thought was one of the ones that I think deserves a live action adaptation, but then it would just be Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah.
Or anything.
Or like I like shows on Nick like Doug and stuff, but those are just like
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
A lot of they've had 100 shows like that.
A lot of those things are just the same. So
right,
and really a lot of it is just tangential to things that already exist. So
right,
can it exist? Yes. Should it exist? Probably not.
No.
And so that's why I think there are things that I think could be unique. But if you're talking about turning them into, and I'm primarily talking about turning them into movies, not so much TV stuff.
Sure. Yeah. There was never any actual like specification of
taking things to put on the big screen. I think, and again, it would be similar to G.I. Joe. You would want to take it back to the 80s and use those designs. But I think doing a Mask movie would be an amazing visual set.
It was funny. Let me hang on real quick.
Yeah.
Aaron Humphreys was actually going to bring that to the table.
Now, we also figured out he meant mask, M-A-S-K.
Yeah.
The abbreviation.
Mask.
No, the acronym, not the green one. Yes.
Yeah. Mask, that thing. Yes. Yeah, 100%. I think we've seen the Transformers work. This would be a step down, obviously, but I think if you were to get a director that was and a cinematographer that were really understood the racing elements of the cars and really doing dynamic shots of the cars, I think you'd have a really cool visual thing that people would be on the screen like, God damn, that Camaro's flying, like, what are we doing here? This is awesome. So I think that stuff like that would be really cool.
I've never seen an episode of Mask.
Yeah.
I thought it was just people had different master powers. I didn't know there was racing involved.
Well, I mean, they're in cars and planes and stuff, and so they're chasing each other and
kind of
stuff. Yeah. But yes, the masks have powers, but then so it's like, so for example, the Camaro, right? The Camaro, it like the instead of just like normal doors, like they go up sort of like gull wing doors. And then like guns slide out the sides, and then the back kind of opens, and you get like a jet propulsion thing, and so it flies. The Camaro flies, Rhino is basically like a big rig, but it's like a battle station essentially. Like the smokestacks come down, and they're shooting lasers, and just all kinds of crap. So all of these things are like almost kind of mini Transformers, but they're not robots. They're just cars that turn into weapons and stuff. And then yes, all of them wear a mask, and then the mask has bonus abilities to kind of go along with it. So but again, if you find somebody that can do racing stuff and good car chases and good that kind of thing, you'd have a visual cue that would be immediate. Like the guys that do, there you go, the guys that do Fast and the Furious, all the guys that the directors and the cinematographers for Fast and the Furious, all those car chases, give them mask,
Mask
and
and the
you'd have
Furious.
you'd have a great visual for a film.
Well, you could also do the whole the Wachowskis did the Speed Racer live action movie.
Yeah, but that's batshit.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but you could at least they understand the racing
People say
element
they
and
liked
having
it,
a
though.
fun time. No, I've
It
truthfully
needed to
anybody
be
who's
visually like, oh, you know, so they kind of got that part right.
yeah, but actually
I
the
think you
Pirates of
guys are right.
Darkwater.
You go ahead. I don't know that.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say what you got. I think what you guys we're all agreeing on is that if you're going to port something from something else, especially an animated, it has to be something easily sellable, definable. And you guys, each one you've picked has, you know, it's not about, not to say it can't be like, right. There can be, you know, characters in it that we like and we want to see how they develop, but it really, you just hear the name and you know the outline of what it's going to be about. And if you stick to that, you know, premise and just make it live action,
Well, it has to
got an easy port over, you know.
It has to feel like you're actually watching the IP. Like it can't just be like the Power Rangers live action movie or the Avatar Last Airbenders movie that doesn't exist. Like those don't feel like you are actually sitting there watching the cartoon on live action adaptation. You feel like you're watching an entirely different thing with a spray paint of Avatar and all that over it. And it's frustrating. I've also never seen the Pirates of Darkwater, but I keep being told that I need to watch Pirates of Darkwater. Is it good? Have you guys seen it?
That's not for me.
Okay.
Again, it's one of those things that I'm aware of, but I know I'm not going to care.
Yeah. Garfield was one of the ones that needed a live action.
Yeah, well, I've got a surprise for you.
Well, guess what?
There's 3 of those things.
So,
and you know, a funny thing about the Garfield movie is that Bill Murray was in Ghostbusters, and there was a Ghostbusters cartoon. Gentleman who did the voice of Venkman in the Ghostbusters cartoon did the voice of Garfield in the cartoon, and then in the voice of the live action, Bill Murray replaced him as the voice of Garfield.
So it's a whole
circle.
So what
Garfield is a Ghostbuster.
That's what I was just about to say. Garfield is a Ghostbuster.
Wait a minute now we got something.
Yeah. Wait. What if?
Actually, speaking about porting to cartoons, Ghostbusters is a good example of. It was live action. It went to cartoon. The cartoon went very cartoony.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was shooting towards a market of younger kids.
And then it went back to cartoony.
Well, that's
what I was saying. I think
Ghostbusters just took on that whole role of like, hey, you know what?
We can be campy.
We can't just keep making movies, but we can make animated shit and sell toys.
Yeah, and they did.
And they dove right into that market.
And whatever you feel like with the new ones, I feel like they actually took from the cartoon now, and they're trying to be more, over top with the villains and the stuff like that. I feel like they are trying to go back to what the real Ghostbusters felt like.
That's why I didn't hate the 2016 one.
Right.
Like I just thought it was goofy, and I felt like that was the Ghostbusters. So, but I also like the original Ghostbusters too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I do find it an insult that the newest one where they summoned all the new Ghostbusters, the females were left out.
Yeah.
Felt that was kind of a kick in the teeth. Own up to your stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I do want to throw a curveball with you guys. You know what wouldn't work as a live action, but I really want to see it done, besides Cat Dog, is Courage the Cowardly Dog.
That would be amazing.
I would absolutely.
You could do that on a cheap budget too, like the new Hellboy movie, because it's like it's just a couple people in an old cabin and crazy shit happens.
Yeah, you could. The only problem with it wouldn't work because I feel like that they wouldn't go hard enough with it. Like I feel like
grandparents that look grotesque and can't talk and like you want to go that hard with it.
Yeah, like you would have
Del Toro on that shit. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, you would have to make it super focused on courage. But I feel like with now, people, it's like, well, we got to focus on the Muriel and Eustace. They're like, no, I just want to hear the dog babbling and screaming about a monster that's coming in, and he's trying to protect these people. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see a small dog go up against Godzilla at that point. Like, but I feel like nowadays people are not going to go hard enough with Hollywood.
Yeah, it'd be
So,
too hard to CGI the dog for cheap too.
you could just
It gotta
do
be.
a.
Is the dog cartoony? Is it just a regular dog? I don't know.
I think it just depends. I truthfully, if you made him more closer to Scooby Doo, like the way how he was CGI'd and everything with the live action ones, I think it would work. But if you're gonna make him look cartoony, you have to make him his little ball of purple fluff. So with black spots, like you really do got to make him look like a potato. Like that's the potato or nothing. Like either go potato or you make him real dog. No in between. Like you can't. Absolutely not. We got that with crypto. Like yeah, no. So, but yeah, I mean, there's also like Cat Dog. I think should not be a live action, but I think it is time for that. You can make it a Frankenstein parody. Like you can make it like just this evil mad scientist just
Or
makes
Human
this
Centipede.
cat dog, or a human. No, maybe. I'm listening. Hang on, John.
Wait,
Go on.
maybe.
make it. I'm going to ass to mouth cats and dogs. Cat dog. Then it just cuts to like this guy in a fucking mental institute. Tom, what do you got?
Any other ones on your list?
I mean, there's an obvious one. There's an obvious one, and it is one that has been in production hell for decades, and currently, so far as I understand, has Tobey Maguire attached to it in the current iteration, and that's Robotech.
Oh wow!
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
They really are mining your age group, huh?
God, I forgot about
again.
Robotech.
It would be one of those things. It's like Voltron. It would be one of those things where, just from a visual sense, like holy crap, this would look incredible.
Robotech was an anime, though.
Yeah. It was a Japanese anime, and then it got brought over here with two different animes, and they all got fused together as Robotech. But all you really have to do is focus on the Macross Saga. That's the one that is sort of the one. So figure out how to do the story is so long. It depends on how much of this story you kind of feel you need to tell. But if you had a sense that it was going to be even moderately successful, you could plan it to be sort of a trilogy and like 3 2-hour movies, and you would be able to really go deep dive into it. But it's one of those things that it has music with it that you can get. You'd have the sound. No, but I mean, like, it has a built-in its own soundtrack, like its own songs and stuff. It's not just like pulling from like, oh yeah, remember the 80s? Like we'll use something from Erasure in our song. It's like it has its own song.
It's like what most animes do.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. If you were to then take that stuff, you could translate that into, real singers and stuff for Min Mei, because she's the lead singer. But that's what I'm saying is, like, you can have sort of the live action stuff, and you get a little bit of rock and roll going with it, and it would just it's a great mix of all that stuff. And then the visuals of freaking planes turn into robots, and giant aliens, and it's ready to go. I don't know why it's being held up. I would assume it's just they're trying to figure out how to tell this story, and they probably don't want to make a trilogy out of it.
Right.
They probably just want to say, can we just make a 2-hour thing and go home?
No.
And that's really difficult because you have a series that has 32 episodes, 32 half-hour episodes. So it's like 18. What is that? No, it's like 16 hours of story to condense into 2 hours. Like, that's really hard to do. So
I think that's why a lot of that stuff has trouble, right? Because it's so hard to condense it down to a watchable movie.
Yeah,
but they did it with Lord of the Rings. Come on, they can do it.
Well, Lord of the Rings,
that's 9 hours, dude. I'd never want to sit and watch 9 hours of anything.
I do want to point out with Lord of the Rings is that half of the stuff that they took out was Tolkien describing a field for,
that is not true. Okay, I thought I avoided reading the books because everybody said that forever.
It's not
about the trees and stuff, but there is a lot they had to take out. That was
yes. The books themselves are very, very long-winded, but they're not as bad as a lot of people are dramatized.
But
yes.
so are the movie, man. I just tried to watch the first movie not long ago because I hadn't seen it in a long time. And I was like, let me come back to this and let me see what's going on. 45 minutes into this first movie, we haven't even left the Shire yet. Like, motherfucker.
Did you watch the extended?
I think it was the extended.
Okay, here's the thing.
When Frodo got the ring, it took him 17 years to get up the courage to leave the Shire. Okay, they cut it short for you, Tom. That could have been a 17-year movie.
Well, along with that, Gandalf was studying for like what,
Yeah.
5-6 years?
Oh yeah,
Before that,
trying to find Gollum.
the
Nobody
thing
got
is
time for
though,
that
and
shit.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Tom, don't watch the extended.
Well, I didn't have
Yeah,
a choice. That was
always
just what was on
watch the
Amazon.
Oh, okay.
That was just
Always
the
watch
Amazon
the
edition. I was like, play it, let me
Like,
go.
The
And then it was really funny because I was watching it and they like got to the part where they had like the dragon fireworks and stuff, and then I paused it real quick and it was like, holy fuck, this is like 40 minutes into the movie and we're still monkeying around with the Shire. Like, take me somewhere else.
Why do they like
Holy
drinking?
shit.
Why do they like smoking?
No, you can do that faster. Pacing. And listen, that's Peter Jackson. He did King Kong, and I have the exact same problem with King Kong. Is like, God damn, dude, I understand what you're trying to tell me. We don't need 30 minutes of this to get a point across that, like, hey, remember that book, Heart of Darkness? Yeah, I got it. Let's go. Let's move on.
Here's the thing. When the video game was better than the movie, that's when you have a problem with King Kong. Then that was the problem with King Kong. The game was better.
First day was King Kong.
I like King Kong. I like it a lot. I like what he did with it, but like,
man,
it just was too much. It just was too much.
Well, you look at, to go back to Robotech and everything, like Gundam and all those with the deeper story elements, you do have that problem with adapting anime into the live action movies.
Sure.
I mean, take a look at Full Metal Alchemist or Bleach when they tried to do those live action movies. The only thing that seemed to get it right, or was that a TV series? You know what? I don't care. It was bad. But One Piece, the live action, I feel like that was the only thing where I was like, okay, yeah, it's not the best thing.
But that was a TV show, right? It wasn't a movie.
Yeah.
So you had more time to do things with it when you're doing episodic stuff.
Sure, but they covered like 2-3 arcs.
Yeah,
like in 8 episodes. So
sure. Well, that's like Invincible, the TV show, the cartoon, right? Like they did 3 seasons, and we're already halfway through the books.
120 pages.
Like that's like 10 volumes of the comic book is in 3 seasons of the show. So it can be done, and because Invincible is very good, you can find a way to condense it. But when you're talking about making a movie versus like let's make a TV show, you have different problems.
Isn't a TV show just a really long movie?
I mean, to a degree, yes. But again, it's if you're gonna let's say you wanted to make 8 episodes of a TV show, right? And they're at least a half an hour long. That's 4 hours. Right. So you'd have to have a 4-hour movie to encompass this,
which is Lord of the Rings.
This 8 hour,
exactly. But which is this 8 hour thing.
But you can't. But but to put a 4-hour movie in the theater. It would never work. It just doesn't work. 3 hours is about the max out, and it has to be something like the Avengers for that to work. So, really a movie's got to be about 2 hours. And the longer it is, the more budget, because with all these CGI things like Robotech would require endless CGI. So it would be massively expensive. So you need to be able to run that movie more times during the day. And when it's 3 hours long, you get less showings. So, you want to have a nice tight 2 hours probably so that you can get audiences in and out, quickly, and hopefully they like it and want to come back and see it again.
Well, like Sinners, or my buddy who's seen almost every Star Wars movie ever in theaters like 14 times. Which
I've seen. I remember when Star Wars was running the first time, I saw Star Wars 6 times. I saw Empire Strikes Back 8 times. I saw Return of the Jedi 12 times. In theaters. That's what used to happen back in the day.
How long did you see The Last Jedi? How many times did you see that?
1 time.
-1.
Oh, okay. How long did you see Link's Awakening and Fellowship of the Rings when you saw Star Wars?
1 time.
Star Wars Fellowship of the Rings.
1 time. What's funny is Last Jedi, I hated that movie so much. I've seen it 1 time and it is burned into my brain. Like, people, if we want to start to talk about it, I'll be like, yo, I will tear it down right now. And I've seen it once. That's
least
how,
they
that's how
left an
terrible it was.
At least the wrong impression, but
You
it left
remember-
an
It's right.
impression.
It was the wrong impression. Yeah. Yeah. I was at a Blu-ray place not long ago, and they do like a buy 5 get 1 free type of thing, and so I found 5, and then they had Last Jedi on Blu-ray. And so when I went to the top, it didn't really matter when I went to the store. It didn't really matter how it played out, but I put the 5 to one side and I said, I'm paying for these.
You still
That
got
is
it?
free. You know, I put the
Well,
Last
you're not
Jedi on
gonna
the other
watch it?
side. Yeah, that one is free. And he just laughed. He understood what I was doing. So I own it, but it was free.
Oh,
Right,
no.
exactly. In your
Yeah.
head, it was free.
That's
We do
correct.
not own any of the sequels
Yeah,
nowadays.
it is free. So one of these days, I'm going to go back in and kind of really
Punish
watch
yourself
it again,
instead
because
of
I want to
watching
I want to get
Marbury.
my own movie show started again. You know, that trilogy is so
Your movie show.
so unique. Yeah, I used to do a movie show a long time ago.
Oh.
Like back in 2020, 2021, we used to do a weekly movie talk show. Yeah. And it was really fun. And we just kind of, well, it fell apart because David Fought, who was one of my co-guys, he ended up getting COVID. And then, you know, so he was off, and we were like, well, you know,
Got
when you're
arrested.
better, we'll come back. And then when he was in the hospital, he got diagnosed with cancer as well.
Jesus Christ.
And so a year later, he was gone from the cancer.
No.
So so it just kind of fell apart, and I just never came back to it. But I have people asking me all the time, like, dude, when are you going to do that again? I'm like, you want me to do this again?
I'll do it with you.
Yeah.
So I'll do it.
But it was really fun because we would pick like a topic. We'd be like, okay, let's talk about, you know, Batman movies, or, you know, whatever, Star Wars movies. And we'd have a heavy topic. It was really fun to do. So, and the Star Wars sequels are such a wildly bizarre trilogy in and of themselves, much less how they're connected to the previous stuff. And I never really got to do a deep dive on that. So that'll be one of the earlier episodes that I figure out how to do.
So fun thing, real quick, you just made what's behind you is Xenozoic by Mark Schultz.
Correct.
No, it's on the other side.
The other, I'm on the wrong one. Yes.
Yeah, and I own that. I actually own that as well. But that also, I feel like, needs to be a live action movie.
Again, I think you're right. I think from a visual sense, you'd have something really special. But
Yes.
It has to be done right. Because if you guys recall, it was turned into a cartoon that was
Yes, that's why I bring it up.
God awful things that was ever created in the 90s.
Cadillacs and dinosaurs.
Yeah, but
There's
yeah,
candy bars.
that's a hell of a world. That's a legit science fiction.
I never even
story.
actually knew what the source material was. Well, that's funny.
It's amazing.
Really,
Check
It's
that out.
amazing.
it's really good.
Well, we'll have to come back on and do have Tom on in a month or so and do comics to other media.
I also have this, Chad.
Yeah, you showed me this, and I still want to see it again. It's so nice.
It's gigantic.
That's cool. I didn't know they did an artist edition. Nice.
Yeah, Mark Schultz, his art is.
He's a beast.
Oh my god!
It's so good. Have you've never read Xenozoic?
No, I never got to that one.
Really? You can find, like, they reprinted the omnibus of it, and it's just the
I
one.
see it's like 400 pages. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice. It's like one volume.
Yep. So, and it's really, really worth it. Just looking at the art, the story is great. The artwork is beautiful.
Yeah, one of the cool things about it from our artistic sense is you can really watch him grow as an artist. Like, he was good at the beginning, but as you go, you kind of watch him learn more technique, and it just gets better and better and better and better until you're just like at the end and you're just like,
That's one of those ones. If you do the live action with that, you have to kind of give it the Mark Schultz artistic flair, like make it very bright. You know what? That's an entirely different topic now that I think about it. Like,
I think it would be amazing, honestly, to see it
if you could,
in a black and white, like a King Kong. Like,
yeah, almost like a Sin City, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think it would sell. I don't think you could sell that.
No. Oh god, no. You can make it like a B budget, like a budget movie.
Well, yeah, I think you have to make it a real movie. Like, but I think you could do something like Godzilla -1, where you put out the movie and then you do the black and white edition of it.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
think-
They got me. I got
Yeah.
me to see -1. It's like I saw it 3 times actually.
That I think you can.
I need
do.
to watch -1. It is on my to watch list.
Oh,
But
you gotta-
all right, John,
Okay.
do you want to throw us out?
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Thanks for coming on the show, Tom, and someone who's actually thoughtful about these things is always nice to have instead of 2 morons who are like Courage the Cowardly Dog.
What you?
And The Simpsons. So we appreciate you. We'll definitely have you back on. And yeah, if you get that movie show going, let us know when to promote it and share it and all that stuff. And
I'll even come on with it.
More from you, from Big Dog Inc. and all that you have on the horizon.
Yeah, Big Dog Inc. We'll be doing Kickstarters throughout the year. Now we're back to work. Now that I'm off the con circuit for a while. Kickstarter Penny for Your Soul launches in 2 weeks, and I am doing a new podcast myself with Allison Lear called The Oz Couple. We talk all things Wizard of Oz and pop culture and stuff. We do that Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
It's really funny.
So we'll be back this Monday. We took this last Monday off because of the Ostravaganza show, but we'll be back in the coming Monday.
I want to mention briefly about the show. It's really funny to watch. It's like, I didn't know this existed, and you put up the Wizard of Oz like magic kit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, oh, it's just a magic kit, but with the words Wizard of Oz on it. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, it's like a box of cereal where you're just like the Star Wars edition, but it's still just the box.
It's the same thing.
So,
Same
like,
SpaghettiOs, same everything. Yeah.
same everything, just different shape.
Guys.
But yeah, what?
I was going to say, talk to you all soon.
Oh yeah, see you guys later. Goodbye. Hang on a second. I'm gonna do the ending. Where's the button? It's right there.
This is like
All
a
right.
well-oiled machine.
Hell yeah.